So the situation in the UFC with Ian Machado-Garry is absolutely wild. Oh, I don't want this to be one of those podcasts where we're constantly talking about scandal and this, that, and the other thing. I don't want this to be I don't want this to be a podcast where we're just constantly rehashing like the whole Dylan Dennis, Logan Paul thing. Like there's actually quite a few podcasts out there that I've been listening to that really seem to have like moved in that particular that particular direction. They don't really want to talk about the fights anymore. Now they just kind of want to talk about like all the shit. They're just like, give me all the shit. Just fucking rub it on my face. Just give me the dirt. And that's not really what I want to get into. But I mean, this Ian Garry-Machado situation, it's like a car crash. Yeah, it's so utterly spectacular. It's almost impossible to look away from it. So if anybody here listening to this happens to not actually know what this situation is, somehow or another it got out that Ian Machado-Garry, he's about 28 years old. He's married to some 40-year-old woman who actually wrote some sort of like a book or a pamphlet on how to be a wag. So like how to be not just like a wag. So like, basically it stands for wife and girlfriend, of like a professional athlete. That's what they're referring to. But not just how to be a wag, but how to be like an older wag. So how to be an older woman and bag yourself like a younger professional athlete. And there are people out there that are there are actually people out there that seem like they're almost incensed about this. Like Sean Strickland, the UFC middleweight champion of the world, actually went out so far as to call Ian Machado-Garry's wife a sexual predator. And I don't know, depending on how you think of it, like maybe Sean's not wrong about that. But I guess, like, of all the things that you can say about this woman and this book or pamphlet that she wrote, like apparently it works. Like, that is way more than you can say for like a lot of those red pill podcasts out there and all the advice that they give to young men. Like, hey, you know what? She wrote her book and then she went out and she bagged herself a young athlete. Like this works, I guess. Like, the method is sound. And it's one of those things where simultaneously it is nobody else's business except for their own. Or at least it would be nobody else's business except for their own if there didn't seem to be a third person who is involved in this marriage who actually seems to be the ex-husband of the wife who is still living with them. Like, he's married. He's 28 years old. He's married to this woman who's 40 years old. And her ex-husband is living with them in the house or apartment or God knows wherever they live. I don't know. So I guess, is it nobody's business except for their own? Well, I don't know. Apparently there's at least one more person that might disagree. And once there's one more person who might disagree with that, I guess maybe it just does feel a little bit more permissible to talk about this thing that is just utterly impossible to look away from. So Sean Strickland, he makes this video and he says, come on, man, this isn't a marriage. This is more like a hostage situation. Like, blink twice if you need us to send a tack team for a rescue. Like, pull the ripcord, man, get out of there. Like, we'll hook you up with some younger women. And Ian Machado-Garry, I guess he doesn't really have the same sense of humor that a lot of other people have, because now he's threatening to sue Sean Strickland if he doesn't take down this video wherein he basically calls the wife a sexual predator. That's an ugly situation. And it's one where if you're Ian Machado-Garry, I just don't see an upside to it at any point in even further engaging with it. I mean, because, we're talking about the fight business. We're talking about the hurt business. And as so many other people said, this was said over and over again, when Logan Paul and Nina Agdal were suing Dylan Dennis. It was said over and over again, and it is true, and it holds true enough that I'm going to say it again. Like, in the fight business, you don't sue. In the hurt business, you hurt. You hurt the other guy. You fight the other guy. In the fight business, you fight the other guy. But if you're Ian Machado-Garry, and you happen to fight in the welterweight division, and you're just starting to work your way up the rankings in that division, well, the idea that you're just going to settle this right off the bat, in a fight with the welterweight champion of the world, pardon me, rather, I should say the middleweight champion of the world, well, that's just not doable. Because he's the middleweight champion. He has other business on his plate. He's got another middleweight contender that he's got to prepare to defend his championship against. You don't really have a strong enough claim to just jump up a weight division, jump the line, and just say, it's like, I got personal beef with the champion, so now I get to fight him. It's not really how things are supposed to work in the professional fight business. So I guess what other alternative does Ian Garry have? And I think maybe that's the way that we should be addressing this, by the way. Chael Sonnen said that he wasn't going to call him Ian Machado-Garry. He's going to call him Ian Garry. I don't know. Maybe that's what the rest of us should be doing too. I mean, who really knows? I definitely don't really know. But one thing I can definitely say for certain is that I wasn't really all that happy when I was watching Dylan Dennis basically beat up on Nina Agdal when he was supposed to be training to go and fight Logan Paul, her fiance. And look how that went for him. Look how the actual fight went for him. People want to pretend that this was part of a fight promotion, but when it came to the actual fight, there was not much of a fight. Now, in this situation with Ian Garry and Sean Strickland, well, we got a situation here where there is no fight, but it seems like the promotion is going on. And the prospects of having that fight at any point within the near future, I mean, I would say that unless Ian Machado-Garry makes the decision to just pop over to middleweight and goes on a miracle run through the top 15 of that division, I don't think that there's any way that we see that whole thing settled with a fight within 2 years. I don't think that's going to happen. So we're not in fight promotion territory here. We are in a completely different place. We're technically in this business. Theoretically, we're really not supposed to be there. Where something is just personal and there's no business in it. That is not really, on principle, supposed to be part of the professional fight business. So while I think that this principle that you don't sue over a personal beef in the fight business, was 110% true when it was Dylan Dennis, trying to basically, take a round out of Logan Paul's fiance rather than Logan Paul himself. I think that stands up there. You know what? I just don't see any other way that Ian Machado-Garry can protect his wife from Sean Strickland's words, other than actually to sue him. If there's any other pretenses under which you think that a fight between the two is even feasible at this time, I mean, hey, feel free, let me know. But with all of the other considerations involved in it, I just don't see it. I just don't think that's there. I don't think that's on the table. So, I mean, what else is there? Maybe he's going the right way with this. Maybe this is an exception to the rule.